Hi there, Mick back. This time with a response to Static Traveller's 1001 albums you must hear tag, and a couple of my suggestions that could be added to the list that would add some real value. Okay, first thing I should say is I actually really enjoy these books, and whether it's this one as well, where you go through 100,001 books you may want to know about or read about, what I find is they help give you a perspective on life and what other people may think, and the same would be for music, where previously I may have written off an album or not understood it in the context of its time or in the context of my life. And so books like this and 1001 albums do help to expand. Okay, on with the list. Okay, what I've decided to do is I'm going to do an album from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, so forth, up until the current decade. Okay, let's start with the 60s. Okay, one of my all-time favourite albums, Machine Gun by the Peter Brotzmann Octet. This is a 1980s FMP version. The original was released on Brotzmann's own label in 1968. What we have here is the meeting of European avant-garde with the new thing. So Coltrane meets Stockhausen, and on the great FMP label. Okay, I guess one of the hallmarks of the 70s was singer-songwriters, and certainly an album that I think explores that context is Trancer by Caetano Veloso. Check out that packaging. There's certainly something to be said about the 60s folks singers, but on Caetano on this album is certainly protesting a military junta in his country. Dynamic, samba inspired beats. Sure, why not dance as the world goes down? But what a better way to get your message across, and showing that the protest movement was alive, not just in North America, but South America. Brazilian pressing here for that potential feeling of the vibe. Okay, now we move on to the 80s. And the 80s, I guess, certainly brought some new ways of music being made and new sounds. And I think this album by Laibach, which aims at merging that technology with the sounds of old Europe, with the neoclassical aspect. Christ Pod Travaglum Baptism. A lot of this reeks of Deutsche Grammophon. And once again, a bit like the Veloso album, the vinyl package is supreme. So you get the box. You get a booklet. Multiple live photos. A couple of posters. I'm talking massive posters. How hard would it have been for someone to not put them on their wall? You get some inners, and even the bags have a political message stamped on them. And there we go, there's the labels, proudly made in West Germany. And I will add, these photos are actually on photographic paper, So there's a sense of individualism here. Certainly something that embraces the spirit of vinyl technology, and I guess part of Europe looking back, but also looking forward. The wall's not far away from going down. Okay, I guess the next time area to hit is the 90s. And for the 90s, I've chosen probably the king of all sample records. And this is an EP, and it's by Negativland, and it's called U2. There was a massive legal case made against SST Records, who, when they released this, knew there was going to be trouble. And Negativland are the original pranksters. Certainly it samples U2 and Casey Kasem, both massive names at the time. There we go. Cute dog picture on this one, but there is, I still haven't found what I'm looking for mentioned here. Now, U2 sued for copyright, and the point being that the album was not intended to infringe as U2. Instead, it was the fair use of the letter U and the numeral 2. In fact, Negativland claimed they were mimicking the spy plane, U2. And to prove the point, they released Guns. Once again, featuring the U2 spy plane, making the point that the letter 2 and the numeral 2 is not a copyright infringement. On the back, it says, "This recording is dedicated to the members of our favourite Irish rock band, their record label and their attorneys. The music is to you." Confronting. Certainly, way before Shadow went through his sample mania, this was the beginning of the politicalisation of music and samples. And we had De La Soul a couple of years early, but nobody took quite the exception as U2 did. And I think because of that is one of the reasons why U2 ended up getting a lot of hate as SST Records and Negativland were pursued, well, quite mercilessly through the courts. Okay, so at least in the 90s, or the early part of the 90s, we started having vinyl being pressed, particularly through groundbreaking independents like SST. What happened in the 2000s? Well, vinyl was kept alive, in part, through dance music. And this is Quartet with their classic Grounds. And this took everything that we learnt from the 90s with our soft synths, but not only that, the groundbreakingness of drum and bass, and wrapped it up in a space where it could be viable in the early 2000s. Certainly vinyl was alive, you can tell by those inners. And I guess the other thing this album has, it included a number of extras that were of its time, and some of these I think should still be included. There was a live set, CD to go with the vinyl, so I see that as a bit of an extra of Quartet at Rust at Copenhagen on 30th of March 2004, and the scourge of early thousands vinyl, the CD booklet. Certainly Quartet, even at the time, had the pull to do something a little better than that. Okay, let's go to the 2010s, and here we have Jlin from Black Origami on the Planet Moo label from 2017. Okay, this is, I guess, a new style of music. It's footwork, it's juke, and really it's a part of the ghetto house movement. All in all, it proved what everybody thought, that any style had already been invented, that there was still a way forward. This is quite an experimental release, but once again, for 2017, the vinyl revival was about to happen, but certainly inner sleeves were produced and the music was forward thinking. Okay, up to the current decade. Where do we sit right now? Well, I've chosen this Low album. Now, this Low album is interesting for a number of reasons. First reason is it probably is a great case of where the artwork with the hype sticker, which is that there, hopefully you can see that, it's a hype sticker that I've cut out and put with the album, certainly has been embraced as part of the artwork, but not necessarily part you could keep. Now, for the music, we have Low, who people may remember as a post-rock Americana band of sorts, releasing a highly experimental but blurry, there's the inner, blurry take on electronic music, but it's still post-rock and Americana. And this album's called Hey What. Check out that sleeve. How representative is it of a new world? And especially coming from Sub Pop, which was certainly more than well heeled in the 90s scene, but showed they still had room for advanced releases. Okay, that's my 5 albums. Thanks, Daddy Traveller, for coming up with the tag. Talk soon, everyone.